Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to your Lunch Break Live. My name's Ivana Harinkyu if you're new here, and if you're not, thank you for coming back. Today is Monday, January the 31st, and I thought we'd start out this week on kind of a fun note. That is why today I am joined by our Mobile-based reporter, Lawrence Specker, and Lawrence is here to talk a little bit about Mardi Gras. So again, we're going to start this week kind of talking about something fun, and that is because this past weekend was the first Mardi Gras parade in Mobile of the season. Now, there are more parades planned. And I know everybody's big question is, are these parades and is this Mardi Gras season going to be comparable to the pre-COVID series of parades, pre-COVID traditions of Mardi Gras? So, Lawrence, I know you have been in Mobile for a long time. You've gotten to experience Mardi Gras in Mobile for a long time. So tell us a little bit about this parade you went to this weekend, and then we'll talk a little bit about the outlook for Mardi Gras this year.
Okay, so typically the way the season starts here in Mobile is you have a couple of parades on Dauphin Island before you have parades in Mobile. So this past weekend we had the Creux de la Dauphine, which was the first parade of the season. This coming Saturday we have the People's Parade on Dauphin Island. And then you get to February 11 before you have the first parade of the season in downtown Mobile. That, of course, will be the Conde Cavaliers. And the Dauphin Island parades tend to be very different from the Mobile parades. In Mobile, you have barricades on the streets, big floats that are just they're physically large. They're designed by craftspeople. They're stored in warehouses throughout the year. And some of that is true on Dauphin Island, but the floats tend to be smaller. There are no barricades on the streets. Bienville Boulevard, if you've never been to Dauphin Island, is the parade route is about 2.5 miles. It leaves one end of the island, goes up Bienville Boulevard for a couple of miles, turns around and comes back. That roadway has a big grassy median. And so the situation on Dauphin Island tends to be that people camp out. Well, they don't camp overnight, but they set up extensive tailgating facilities, shall we say, in the median and along the shoulders of the road. So it's friends and family groups. It's typically not like in Mobile where you may come down and be in the middle of a huge swarm of strangers. Typically you're in a cluster of people who you came there with, family and friends, and people grill. I saw at least one full-fledged crawfish boil in progress there along the route. And people put up tents. Girl Scouts sell cookies. And it's basically like the parade is on a 2-lane road and you're on either side of it, and there are no barricades. The units move very slowly. So, I remember seeing one dad with a little boy on his shoulder walk right up to the float, and instead of throwing a stuffed animal to this kid, they just handed it to the kid. And so that's a little different than you get in Mobile.
Absolutely. If you've not been to a Mobile type or even a New Orleans type Mardi Gras, that is the big thing that we probably typically think about. That sounds very different. The Dauphin Island setup sounds very different than maybe what we all kind of envision as a Mardi Gras parade.
And I should say, to an extent, the same is true of the parades on the Eastern Shore, Fairhope and Daphne. And in I think most cases they do not use barricades, so it's a little up close and personal. And people will say that's what Mobile was like, 20 years ago. If you want to see what a parade in Mobile was like back when, just go to Dauphin Island or go to the Eastern Shore.
So you talked about a parade this past weekend, and you said there's another Dauphin Island parade this coming Saturday, and then things kind of shift to that downtown Mobile style parade that we just talked about. I believe you said February 11th. So what is the plan for the downtown Mobile or any of those bigger parades? What's the plan there?
Well, I think the plan is identical to past years. The city spent, I'm trying to remember, it was $50,000 or more on porta potties to populate downtown with portalettes. The barricades are up. If you live in Mobile, there's a day every year where you drive into downtown and you see they've started to put up the barricades, and you're like, oh yeah, here we go again. And so those are up, but they'll be parading on the typical parade routes. The schedule is very similar to previous years. So really, it looks like a return to the way things were in 2020. which was, if you remember, that was COVID was a known thing at that point, but it wasn't. People really had no idea how far it was going to go. So Mardi Gras happened basically at the last minute, right before things started shutting down.
Right. So are we looking this year at that 2020 and pre-2020 style parade style Mardi Gras celebration with those longer routes, with the typical big crowds, the tailgating and things like that?
So if you're asking, are there any official policies in place, like you have to wear a mask at Mardi Gras, or attendance is limited, or you have to maintain social distancing, along the parade route? No, none of that is the case. I think the situation has sort of evolved to the point of, we're 2 years into this. If you're free to make your own decisions here. If you have enduring concerns about COVID exposure, and you really don't want to go see a parade, you just don't. And if you don't care, you come on down. And I would venture to make this prediction, and it's not much of a prediction. I think things may start out a little slow, but they will build as we go through the season, as more people get comfortable with the idea. And then the wild card is always the weather. Is are we going to have rain, or are we going to have cold snaps during the parading season? But I think the sense is that the Omicron wave is that we're starting to get on the downside of that. Hopefully numbers are starting to drop. Hopefully that trend continues, and people have just, like I say, at this point, they make their own decisions. I feel like it's going to be a fairly well attended year, and part of that is driven just by the fact that they didn't get it last year. They're eager to get back to the way things were.
That was my next question. Is last year there were some parades. There was a little bit of a semblance of Mardi Gras, right? It was not what we are typically used to. I know it's probably in vain to even say that, but there were attempts to have these parades, to have floats, and to have some type of celebration. So my question there is the comparison, and if you think that this will be a more attended year than last year, because it looked very sparsely attended last year.
Well, I can't say there were no parades last year, because in addition to the big stuff that goes on in Mobile, there are neighborhood parades, there are community parades, there are parades in outlying smaller towns where people may, are free to make their own decisions. But as far as the bigger things, Mobile issued no parade permits last year, so there was zero in downtown Mobile. And what happened last year is that people did what they called the porch parade. They took the level of decoration you might have seen on Mardi Gras floats, and they decorated their front porches like that. And there was a tour. I mean, you could tour around Midtown mostly and look at all these things people had put up on their front porches, and that was a way of keeping the spirit alive. But this will be, in terms of, was there any satisfaction last year? If you like Mardi Gras and you want to go to parades and you want to hear the music and you want to catch throws, there was really very little satisfaction last year. So I think there is a lot of determination to get back to that this year.
What is the atmosphere like there right now, Lawrence? Are people getting excited? Are people still not ready to celebrate? What are you seeing?
It's always a mixed bag. I talk about the sort of feeling when you see those barricades for the first time, and it's kind of a happy feeling and kind of a, like, here we go again. No doubt a lot of people are very excited. I feel like this is true any year, but if you go to Disney World the week of Fat Tuesday, you're going to find a lot of people from Mobile and a lot of people from New Orleans, because they just leave town for it. They're sick of it. They don't want to be a part of it. They're going to take those off days and go somewhere else. But the mood right now is just sort of, I think there's a sense of anticipation. I think people are curious to see how it's going to go. But I think people are eager for it to be back to a great extent.
Well, and we have these memories, and we know what it was like before, and especially we look since 2020 or even 2019 that it's been a long time at this point. It's been several years. There have been people maybe who have moved to these cities and have never experienced a typical Mardi Gras. There have been kids who wouldn't remember it. So this is probably a time that people are, if you enjoy that sort of thing, then you're ready to get back into it.
Right, right, right. And there's a quieter side to it beyond the parades. I mean, if you take Joe Cane Day in uh, downtown Mobile, that's known as probably the biggest day of the season in terms of the parade and the the crowds that come down and the general level of mayhem that goes on. But it's also a day in the neighborhoods near the parade route, particularly the Oakley district, where it's not uncommon to see neighbors having outdoor brunches. A group of neighbors will get together and and have a brunch and have friends and family around, and you just walk around. You see a lot of relaxation and a lot of socializing and all that going on. And so I think that really was quashed last year as well. And I think people it's a smaller, more personal, quieter level than the parades, but I think people are going to be really very eager to get back to that.
That it sounds like fun. It's exciting to think about things that are slowly coming back to our old normal, right?
If we ever get to normal, maybe we've just given up on normal. What'll be interesting though is to see, how is Mardi Gras different? And I don't have any answers to that right now, but people have had 2 years to think about it. It's a very traditional event. You tend to do the same things the same way at the same time every year, but when you get a year off, it's time to sit back and say, maybe we should do something a little different. And that's maybe one of the big stories this season. What's different?
All really good observations, Lawrence. I know that you are going to be out covering these for us, and I know you'll have a lot to report back on. I do want to quickly, before I let you go, give you a minute to tell us about something that you went to this morning. Actually, you were in our Mobile office, as we can see here, and that's because you went to an event this morning involving Airbus. So tell us a little bit about that event. I know you've got a story about to come on AL.com when we get actually finished with this video. I gotta let you get back to writing it, but tell us a little bit about what happened there.
So Airbus and Lockheed Martin intend to compete in the Air Force's next tanker competition. And what they announced today is that if they win that contract, then Airbus will add a third assembly line here in Mobile to assemble the A330, which is the basis of their tanker. And then Lockheed Martin will take those planes to Marietta, Georgia, and turn them into tankers. And so there's a lot of history there. Airbus's predecessor, Eads, and Boeing went head to head back in around 2008 to 2011 over a previous tanker contract. Airbus initially won that, then it was reviewed, and Boeing got it, and that was a very bitter defeat for Airbus and for Mobile. But Airbus went on to build 2 assembly lines here in Mobile, and now here we are 10, 12 years later. The Airbus is getting ready to award the next generation tanker contract, and that competition it'll play out over the next couple of years. But so it's conditional, but if Airbus and Lockheed Martin should win this deal, that means a new assembly line in Mobile, which would be an investment of hundreds of millions of dollars and probably mean hundreds of jobs.
Well, and I know you went to this announcement this morning, and there were some pretty big names from the state and different state leaders and politicians who were present there as well.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody was there. The governor was there. The head of Airbus Americas, the CEO of Lockheed Martin, Senator Tuberville, Jerry Carl, Richard Shelby was there. That makes it a pretty significant occasion because he doesn't show up for every little economic development announcement award. But just a host of dignitaries who are very, very excited about what this could mean for the area.
Huge news for Mobile, especially coming during the kind of celebration season there. So good timing on that.
And just to give you the sense of, the hard feelings linger from the 2011 situation. I think it was Senator Tuberville who made a reference back in the day. There was a certain Boeing executive who said, if you give this contract to Eads and you've got people in Alabama trying to put jets together, they're going to be like a parent on Christmas morning trying to put a tricycle together for the first time. And there were a lot of insults flying back and forth back in the day. And Senator Tuberville mentioned that one. That comment hasn't been forgotten. And the sense here is that in the last 10 years, we've shown that you can, in fact, put jets together in Alabama.
And do a darn good job of it as well. Lawrence, thank you so much. I know, again, you're going to have that story on AL.com here in just a little bit, and people can read more about it there. And again, people can read all of your and the rest of our Mobile team's coverage on Mardi Gras in the coming weeks. And we left a link here in the comment thread to that page where you can find all the Mardi Gras coverage as well. So, Lawrence, thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you go and get writing on that. Everybody watching, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
My pleasure.